Hello and welcome back to Mr. Moher Music and my series on film music, and today we're kind of summing up from the 1990s till now and kind of what changes there's been and looking at one great composer. So I want you to state some facts about changes that have happened since the 1980s, so the 1990s till now, and compare two different film themes by one fantastic composer. So let's start with the changes. There's quite a lot of changes. There's quite a lot of time we're covering here. But really by 1990s the film industry was all set up. They knew what they were doing. The only things that really changed is the quality of the films. So let's get started with these changes. Special effects. With the rise in film budgets, bigger ideas, there was a boom in films using special effects. I'm really thinking about Jurassic Park. Disney was chucking out some huge films. Let's just look at the first few years in the 1990s. You got Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King. You had the first computer animated feature, so completely done by computers in the 1990s. That was Toy Story. 3D in 2000, 3D films took off. And then later in the 2000s you had films like Despicable Me and How to Train Your Dragon in 3D. A whole new way of doing 3D in the cinema. Big film series with big budgets. So things like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, bringing huge action, special effects, incredible music by John Williams and Howard Shore, they composed, and then other composers came into Harry Potter as well. And together, all of those things, changing film music. And then the return of superheroes. Superheroes were really popular and they kind of went away, and then 2010s, there they were, the Avengers, the Marvel films, big scores, huge energy, fantastic. Let's bring it down and look at a composer. Let's look at this composer, Michael Gaiachino. He's from New Jersey in America. Born on the 1st of May 1953, he's an American musician and composer for film music, television and video games. Now, Michael Gaiachino was obsessed with movies from a young age. When he was 10, he started creating stop-motion animations to records that he had. He enrolled on a film course of film production when he was able to, and during his final year on his course he got an unpaid internship with Universal Pictures, which of course he took. Now he had to work for a year unpaid. So to do that, he worked for Macy's, the department store, big department store. After he had finished his kind of work experience, he got a job with Universal. Then very quickly he moved across to work for Disney, filled in various roles, kind of working his way up, and became a producer for the video game department. His music for the 1990-70 game, The Lost World Jurassic Park, gained him huge recognition. And then, when Jurassic World came out, a bit later, he was able to compose for that, taking John Williams' original ideas and expanding them with his own. Let's look at two of his films. In 2004, Pixar made a huge change. Until this point, they'd mainly used Randy and Thomas Newman, who composed their film themes. That include things like Toy Story and Monsters, Inc. Now, the director of The Incredibles, Brad Bird, had asked the James Bond composer John Barry, you remember we looked at him before, to compose music for The Incredibles, but turned it down because he didn't want to kind of compose the same kind of sound that he'd already done. So at this point the director turned to Michael Gaiachino, who he knew from his TV shows. Turned out to be a great choice. And you will actually hear, if you listen really carefully to the opening, you'll hear small amounts of that James Bond theme in there. So that James Bond theme we heard before, you can hear it hidden in the orchestra. Michael Gaiachino paying tribute to composers of the past. Now we're going to compare the Incredibles theme to the theme from Up, or the opening 5 minutes of Up. It's another great score by Michael Gaiachino, and it won his first Academy Award for Best Score. And the music for Up's completely different to The Incredibles, which is why I've picked it to compare, because the opening 5 minutes of the film tell its own short film. And the music's entitled Married Life, and it goes through a journey of up and downs. And you can hear that in the music, and you can hear how the characters are feeling. So here's your task. You're going to compare these two themes. You're going to compare the tempo. Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it in the middle? Does it change? That's an important one for this. Same for dynamics. Does it change? Is it loud? Is it quiet? Does it stay in the same place? Does it go up or down? Instrumentation. What instruments are really strong in each piece? Michael Gaiachino has composed for loads of film, TV and video games, but he uses different instruments for different sounds. So he uses different instruments. Why does he use those different instruments for the different pieces? One question for each piece. The Incredibles theme is an epic composition. It's inspired by the great adventure and action films of the past. Can you find one way that the piece of music is made to sound epic? And a piece for Up, Married Life. It's very emotional. Can you find one place in the music where the music changes and explains what has changed? Does it sound happier? Does it sound sadder? And why does it sound like that? And my final question, as always, for each piece. Do you like it? Yes, no, and why? So there we go. That's getting us up to date on film music. There's only one more session left in this series. Enjoy these pieces, they are fantastic.